Hello, it's Classy here, back with another Tribes video, and today I'm on the server 8 account, and we're going to be showcasing a 5-star maxed out UR Tobirama. And right away we can see the art here. I really like this art because of a few things. First, the color scheme of blue and purple looks really nice. The light reflects off of his armor and his hair, and that looks really cool as well. And the way that he is postured towards the viewer also is a really nice touch, and it looks nice. And let's just take a look at his stats. He is level 96, 70,000 power, tier 17, and a URA unit. And from the stats, we can see that he has extremely high critical damage increase rate and critical rate. And this is kind of abnormal for the critical damage increase rate, so that's really good crit damage and good chance to crit for this character, so he'll do a lot of damage. And he also has some struggles with damage reduction, critical suppression, guard damage reduction, so definitely we'll need some defense for this character and guard suppression rate as well. So let's just take a look at his links then. And he is the second Hokage, so expect to see some of the other Hokages here. So here's an Danzo, makes sense. Onuki and A also makes sense. And then we have Hashirama and Tsunade, which also makes sense. Like I said before, there's Hokages here, there are other Kages here. And we don't have the Hashirama link, so he could have more HP. But the most important one for this character is the attack link. Now we are going to go into his kit. So his jutsu is Water Shockwave. He first boosts his own critical rate by 44%, which is, if you remember, his critical rate was already very high, and this is going to boost it even higher, almost to 100%. So he's basically going to crit every time he's using his jutsu, because he does this before he actually applies the attack. And he also does AoE power creep damage to all active enemies. If the target is a tactical shinobi, it'll do 32% extra damage. So that's a ton of damage already for an AoE unit. And he boosts all allies' critical rate by 22% after. And he also boosts all allies' critical damage increase rate by 22% after the jutsu. So that's really good. A lot of good crit support for himself and the allies. And remember, this is only happening for one turn. So basically, the turn that he uses just jutsu and the turn after. So not all the allies are going to technically benefit from this, but definitely a few of your allies will, and they will do more crits and crit damage. So I really like this jutsu, and I don't remember specifically what the power creep numbers were on AoEs, so I'm just going to quickly take a look at another unit for comparison. Yeah, so around 150%, so yeah, that's still really good damage. And lots of crits as well, like I said before. Now let's go into skill 2. He'll do regular skill 2 damage to one enemy, lowers damage increase rate by 8% for all tactical shinobi, enemy tactical shinobi for the rest of the battle. And this is really good actually for skill 2 because it's permanent, so you'll always be getting benefits from this, and it affects tactical shinobi. He is definitely geared towards defeating tactical shinobi and making them weaker, so this works well with the rest of his kit. I mean, he's an A unit, so he should be doing more to tactical shinobi just on his own, but his kit is kind of centered around dealing extra damage and nuking tactical shinobi, and I'll talk about why that's useful later. So he has even more attack boost and damage increase, and then his skill 4 boosts all active allies' attack by 15% when he's active at the start of the turn, lowers damage reduction rate by 13% for all enemy tactical shinobi for the rest of the battle. So more effects that weaken tactical shinobi. This time he's going to reduce damage reduction rate, so he'll hit even harder. And his skill 2 was lowering damage increase rate, so he's protecting your units as well. So pretty good character. He obviously has a purpose, and his limit break also helps. He lowers all enemies' critical rate at the start of the turn after he has been defeated, and this is permanent. So this is interesting. This is not necessarily geared towards doing more damage or weakening tactical shinobi, but this time it's weakening all enemies after he has been defeated. So I don't see this limit break being as useful, but he is definitely lacking in some defense. So I can see this actually having an effect on the battle. But again, people have talked about using this unit for PvE especially, and probably not going to help too much for FG, for example, and ATB stuff. But in Arena, it could be useful if you choose to use him for Arena. And yeah, so obviously PvE, you can choose what units you're using, and it will definitely depend on the opponent, but there are T units in PvE, so he is really good for that stuff because he weakens them and he deals extra damage to them. So it should help you a lot get more percentages and do more damage overall. And he also boosts offensive stats for the rest of your team. And in Arena, there are obviously T units that are being used right now. For example, Sai. So it never hurts to have a character like him to make them weaker so you can finish them off quickly. And, people do like to use T units in Arena. So that's good. And that's pretty much his general application. A pretty good overall unit, I'd say, even though he has more of a focus. And now let's take a look at his vitality. It's not the most optimal one. If he had initial 5k, that would be really good. Because, AoE nukers, I think the only one that has the initial 5k is Santa Naruto, and that makes him really strong. But this is not too bad because of two things. First, his skill 2 is actually pretty good, so make sure to get your third vitality up if you can, because it's a permanent effect on the enemies. And this still gives a good amount of chakra, this first vitality, so you won't be able to jutsu right away. I think he jutsus on turn 3 with Sai, but after that, you'll be doing fine and you'll have enough chakra. So let's take a look at him in action now. Some people have used him to beat this FG Master 2. I've definitely seen some teams with him, so that's just more evidence for his use. And in Arena, let's take a look at how to use him. All right, so there we go. He's already in the battle. So you saw that he increased attack and he also reduced damage reduction rate for all T Shinobi. And he used his skill 2 there, which means that he reduces damage increase rate for all T Shinobi. So already a lot of use on turn 1, even though he didn't jutsu. And we can talk about that regular attack animation. It actually looks really cool, in my opinion. Probably the best one I've seen so far. I just like the teleportation attack. All right, now we're just going to wait for him to come back into rotation. So his skill 4, he was in rotation during the first turn of the battle, so both of the effects are applied, but if he wasn't in rotation, only one of the effects would be applied. All right, now we see the attack up again. Now he's going to use his jutsu. So he will increase his critical rate, and then he'll use the jutsu and then increase critical rate and critical damage increase rate for his allies for the next turn as well as this turn. You can see he's going to go soon. Unfortunately, they don't have T units on their team, so we can't see the extra damage. And in fact, they have D units, so they're probably going to tank this. We'll see. But look at the red text. Yep, critical rate, critical damage increase rate. The damage was not necessarily the best, but they did have D units to tank this. And we can see that UR Heavy just hit a crit. probably what's help from Tobirama. And the animation for his jutsu looks really nice also, in my opinion. So I like what the artist did with this character for sure. And he's definitely pretty good as well. So all right, I just saw Mei hit some crits on her AoE. KCM just hit a crit. Kakashi just hit a crit. So yeah, they probably got help from Tobirama's jutsu as well. All right. This opponent has a lot of tanks, so it will take some time to defeat them. Here comes the fourth skill, attack up again. Now he's going to jutsu again. So this apply the same effects that I was discussing earlier. Yeah, this animation looks really nice. The voice acting is a little weird though. Okay, there we go. The effects that were talked about earlier are applied again. So now your heavy should have pretty good chance to crit. There we go, another crit. And now the Spirit Cell is probably going to crit again. And this will probably be a very clean game. Like a 9-0 maybe. Alright, lots of crits for Mei. That was a critical hit as well, and another critical hit. So yep, as I said before, just pretty much guaranteed crits at this point for what Tobirama offers for himself and his allies for the next turn. And Kid Naruto is pretty good, so make sure to use him if you do have him. All of the units in these teams are pretty good. That should be the end of the battle, so hope you guys enjoyed and learned something about Tobirama. Definitely think he's a good unit. On the tier list, out of 10, I think we gave him like 7 arena, like 8 FG, and ATB, something like that. So, I mean, it's not going to be like KCM level OP A unit, but definitely a good A unit that you can use for your team. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching.